Coming up, social impact investment, developing for a cause, doing good while doing good. We're turning the mic over to capital raiser for the cause and founder of the Legacy Collective, Beverly Buella. But first, a tasty musical treat from Jacksonville's very own Firewater Tent Revival. Hello, Jacksonvillians. I'm your host, Ian Brown, and this is the Jacksonville Commercial Real Estate Show, where we bring you dynamic local entrepreneurs, deal makers, and thought leaders ready to dive deep, unpack our local market so you can invest with greater confidence and accelerate your own success. This show is lovingly produced by yours truly and Yield Coach Capital. To stay up to date on Jacksonville's nuanced commercial real estate market, real estate events, and investment opportunities, go to investwiththecoach.com, answer a couple questions, and join the team. Today, I am here with founder of the Legacy Collective, Beverly Buella. Bev, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ian. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Well, thanks for making time for us. You know, I like to kick it off with a burning question. What separates social impact investment from traditional investment?
Social impact investing is defining your own values and finding an opportunity to basically put your investments into that. So whether it's real estate, whether it's, something environmentally related, it's finding a problem that you want to punch and putting your money towards that and making an impact in that way.
Now, punching problems. Let's talk about some of the ones that you're ready to knock down. What are the problems that you're trying to tackle head on with your Legacy Collective?
A big one that I want to tackle is access to investment opportunities. For me, I feel that the types of investments that the wealthy have access to, it's really because it's an old boys network is really what it is, right? And so as someone who didn't have upbringing in real estate investing or didn't come from money, I just knew I didn't want to be broke. So finding what are these people, what are wealthy people investing in, what are they doing, trying to figure that out. And only my journey started with just doing single family residential, but as I'm getting knee deep into this, I'm like, this doesn't feel fun. Like, this is a lot of work. And are wealthy people really doing what I'm doing? So I start learning more about the passive side of this and realizing that a lot of investment, a lot of people that are involved with commercial real estate, this is how deals are put together. So the main problem that I'm seeing is that a lot of these investments are available to accredited investors just by sheer, like, it's just, and it's not that I'm against that. It's just that I think that it, writing big checks, it's less work, right? So it's going to be more work to get more information out there and to have these people, feel comfortable in making this type of investment. But it's one, just putting the knowledge out there and allowing them to decide whether it's something that's right for them.
And just to kind of frame the conversation a little bit, a lot of these LP opportunities, these passive investment deals and funds or syndications, you're right. The preference for a lot of people today is just to go and gather accredited investors. And that is what I did for my last opportunity in Gainesville. But with that standard, a single person needing to make $200,000 a year or have $1 million in net worth, excluding their primary residence, a married couple, $300,000 a year in household income, or $1 million outside their home. So those are, I don't know the exact stat, but I believe it's less than 5% of society. So it's, I I used to know exactly, and it varies with demographic studies. But for conversation purposes, you're talking about less than 1 in 10. You're probably getting down to maybe 1 in 20. So that's it's not that many people that can actually do these deals. So it sounds like I was on your website earlier. It sounds like you're focused on getting the capital access. Not so much on like what exactly you're investing in, or maybe you can correct me on that, but it sounds
Mhm.
like a lot of like your passion is getting people that probably look a little bit more like me, and not necessarily pushing us to the side, but making room for other people that maybe look a little bit different, come from different backgrounds, and give them a chance to multiply their money within a syndication. Is that right?
Right. So pretty much, it's really educating. Like that's what I like to is sharing the information, sharing the opportunity. Um, because I mean, just to kind of a little background on me, I have a very diverse, I'm from New York, so like I just have so many different connections, so many different socioeconomic and ethnic backgrounds. And so yeah, I'm Filipino, and the mindset of Asians in general, I feel like is save, 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 pay off the mortgage, don't take on any debt. And not that, building wealth is not possible in that way, but through real estate, it's definitely possible quicker to do it, whether, you're an active investor or a passive investor. Um, so for me, it's sharing the information, partnering with people that have, that are in these networks that are like doing the work. And then also, connecting with the developers that, they really do want to, have that impact and are doing that groundwork. So basically, bringing the two together, right? So the people that are developing and also, bringing these opportunities to people that, normally wouldn't know anything about them.
And so when you start dealing with the unaccredited, the non-accredited, what are some of the challenges you run into, and kind of twofold question, like what are the challenges in kind of working with the non-accredited, and then what structure are you how are you structuring these deals to work with non-accredited investors?
I guess one of the challenges is, it does take time, right? So it's not, again, it doesn't mean that I'm only working with non-accredited investors. It's for me, it's putting the information out there and sharing it as a possibility. And then, some of the hurdles is like, you have these deals, it's hard to, because they're capped at, I think it's like 35 for like a 506 uh B deal. Um, it's hard to make that work for a large raise, right? So for example, if a deal needs like 10 million and you're only capped at like 35 and each person could only put in like, I don't know, like $50,000, like you're not going to get that with with an 8 million raise. Like it has to be a smaller deal. So it's a smaller deal, and then it's also, more time. So um what I've learned is that people are, they're doing different funds. So they're doing both. They're doing, one for accredited and one for non-accredited, and allowing, there's basically that option for someone to invest in either fund, and to basically create the equity needed to finish out the project.
And I've seen other platforms where I know they're different structures, but kind of like your crowdfunding type, which the CF does. The crowdfunding is a different body of law and SEC regulation, but I feel like that's kind of been maybe the only thing that your unaccredited people really know about. If you tapped your average person and they're like, well, how would I invest in like a larger commercial asset? They'd probably think like a REIT, if that came to mind, and then maybe like a
Mhm.
like a Fundrise or a crowdfunding platform. So it sounds like you're feeling more of like that private placement, um, curated gap where you're putting them into something maybe that you've underwritten, maybe an operator that you've already vetted, and
Right.
trying to get somebody who wouldn't always have access to place capital into that, get them an opportunity.
Right. And so, yeah, that's a big piece of it is the vetting of the operator and ensuring that they have a track record, um, getting that, talking with people that have invested with them in the past, making sure that, they've done a few deals full cycle. So having those conversations, it takes time, and it's definitely something that I enjoy like doing, and just learning like you know what's happening, what problems are actually needing, like what's actually happening, and then how are these people solving these problems. um and one thing that comes up, at least with social impact, is like, are the returns there, right? Like if you know looking at affordable housing, are you getting similar or similar returns as you would for like any regular investment? And it's not across the board that you are getting similar returns, but it's definitely comparable, right? And thinking about like, well, am I looking at an investment just from a return standpoint for like my own personal, for my own personal wealth? Like, then this is not for you. Like, I'm looking at it from a perspective of like, well, if I'm if there's like a little bit of there's like going to be a little bit of an exchange, right? Where like maybe I take like a lesser cut, but there's like a larger impact on the other side, um, for the greater good, right? Like it's not is it really going to make that huge of a difference on my bank account or my like long-term wealth if I give up a little bit for the other side? Um, we're still going to be you're still going to be wealthy. Like,
And just to kind of like put that in some framework, you're saying, okay, if you are the fund manager or a general partner, maybe you're both, you're willing to take less because you want to make sure your limited partners get the benefit of what you're introducing them to, an LP investment opportunity. Is that fair to say?
right, right,
Okay.
right,
Okay.
right.
Yeah. And I mean, for those that don't know it, generally it's the opposite. It's kind of like how much can the GP take before an LP might squeal or, something like that. So it's like you're looking at it to say, okay, our boats are all going to rise together. I want to make sure that these LPs not only have success, maybe exceed the expectations and keep them investing and growing their own legacy, right? That's the legacy collective. So, do you have certain asset classes that you favor with your platform?
I've been looking at all different ones because like, affordable housing is mobile home parks. It's now there's like build to rent. So, you know, I haven't just stayed in like one asset class. I'm really just exploring like you know, I there's so many different ways to kind of like, I guess chop this up, right? Like there's hotel, like, I mean, we saw a hotel together, right? And when
Hmm.
or a motel, let's not call it a hotel, right? We saw a motel together. And that was like the first thing that that's what I was looking at, was like, you know, is there a motel that can be converted? And is this profitable? Like, is it possible to make this an affordable housing opportunity? Um, or like, I mean, I was listening to the podcast, I guess, prior to this one, Pad Split. And I'm like,
Hmm.
that's a great. So I'm looking at developers and operators who are, thinking creatively to help really solve this problem, because there's so many different ways to make it. Like I love that I forget the gentleman's name, but that they're just focusing on one person, right? Like they can't have couples, no kids, no pets. Like it just kind of makes it really easy. And there's a lot of that. So I've just been having those conversations, uh, to just see kind of like where, what, not really like what's the need, because the need is across the board. Um, part of it comes along with like, what are my what is my network? What are the investors interested in? What are they comfortable with? So it's bridging that gap.
And you are correct. I mean, there's no point in trying to go out and raise LP money, private capital for a deal that there isn't enough interest in. So it sounds like a
Mhm.
perfect deal for you. It might solve maybe like a housing issue, an affordability issue, a social issue. But you're kind of trying to do, it's hard to do both, is what I'm hearing, where it's like, I want to get some of these unaccredited people into the boat, let them experience the wealth generation of limited partner investing. And I also want to go ahead and take that money and invest in a deal that has some kind of a cause orientation to it. So I could see where trying to marry those two, maybe you can't get it on every single deal. Maybe,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and that's what
maybe
I'm
you
saying.
can't.
Like, especially being, especially uh with capital raising, it's like it's not one of those things that you can just do without having like long-term relationships. So I have relationships with, all sorts of developers, and they're not necessarily doing affordable housing or social impact. So for me, what it comes down to is, the relationship with the operator, because if I'm, placing like helping to place that capital, um, I have to know that they're legit, right? Like I have to know
Hmm.
that they have their track record, that they're so I I have those relationships, but I'm also building relationships with developers that are in line with, to create that I guess that flow,
And it's
that
interesting.
funnel.
I feel like there's a great responsibility that comes with what you're doing. If you're only working with accredited investors, let's just take the net worth requirement just for conversation purposes. So that means that individual or entity has $1 million outside of their primary residence. I know they can income qualify as well, but let's just use that example. Well, a lot of the investment minimums for syndications are going to be 25,000 to 50,000. Some people go up to 100. Let's just say it's 50. Well, you're talking about 5% or less, because a million is the minimum requirement on the net worth, a 5% portion of their, portfolio or net worth. Is there responsibility to get that right? Hell yeah, you need to get it right. And if you don't get it right, you won't be raising any money again anytime soon. However, flip the coin to kind of what you're working with. When you start raising money from unaccredited, they have much lower net worth and maybe much lower income. Not maybe, they are going to have much lower income. There's a great responsibility in making sure you get it right for them. They're operating life on thinner margins and less safety net. So
And I just,
I'm sure you
yeah,
feel that.
I'm thinking more like, I guess I would say like my avatar is like, someone like me that's in my generation that had professionals. So like engineers, nurses, like those types of high income earning W-2s, but they don't really know what to like. They were brought up just like me, where you're like, okay, save, save, save. Now you're at your job in your mid 40s, and like, okay, I want to get started in real estate, and I have maybe like, and I do have like 25, 50,000, whatever, but I just don't know what to do with it. Where the people that, we've kind of gone and, worked and saved, and I want to grow this fat with people that have seen me, uh, succeed in real estate with my, fix and flips or my like my little rentals. And they're like, oh, I want to do that because that's an extra stream of income, but I don't necessarily want to be like, I don't have the time to be a rehabber. So it's really like that's a missing piece to a lot of this, I think.
And what would be, a great right in your box kind of a deal?
Multifamily, uh, build to rent, those are what I've been looking at. I haven't I haven't narrowed down, and I really should just, I mean, I've been really focusing on, you know, building those connections and seeing like what they're doing, just kind of finding that fit for the end investor.
And I will say, the audience wouldn't already know this, but you and I, we were just at a conference together in Arizona and Raise Fest. And, you know, you can't always tell from a podcast interview, but you are a, top tier networker. Everywhere you go, you're building relationships, and not just building them, you maintain them. You continue to reach out. You're a great communicator. You're like the glue
Thank
of the
you.
group. Yeah.
Aw.
So, I will just give you a golf clap from my side of the microphone. I mean, you do a
Thank
good
you.
job maintaining relationships. And I don't fault you for not knowing exactly what your box is. Right now, your box is probably just stockpiling relationships because you never know exactly what combination of ships you're going to need. You are a female in a fairly male dominated commercial real estate and capital raising environment.
Yes.
How,
Yes.
I wrote this question down and then I was like, not sure if I was going to ask it, but tell me kind of like I wasn't going to say pros and cons. It's a weird way to ask it, but tell us about like, is it more difficult to raise capital in this male dominated commercial real estate world? Although I will say at the conference that we went to, there were a lot of females. And so
Yeah.
maybe this question is less relevant year by year, but I'm curious if you feel like maybe it gives you a leg up in some circles. You talked about your ethnicity and, I'm sure with the right group, maybe it's a leg up, but I'm curious, do you feel like you're swimming around in this male dominated world trying to like get your elbows up and make it work? Or
I
does it
think
not cross your
like
mind?
honestly, like when I first started, just in general, like I was feeling really comfortable, but I feel like now, um, I think part of it has been with just being, it sounds so like rah-rah, but it's like it comes down to like being authentic. So if I feel like I have to like, if I feel like I'm not being myself, that doesn't feel like it's the right fit, then I'm not talking with you anyway. Like it's just I'm not making that connection. So I was just at an event last night and I was the only female invited to that event. And normally I would just been like, oh, this is a huge deal, right? For me, at least, I was like, I didn't know what the size or scope of this event was. Like, normally I would feel like, do I belong? But I felt really comfortable because I wasn't really feeling like I wasn't myself, right? So, I can't say that it's not challenging. Like, I do feel like, but I don't let it phase me anymore. Like, I can see what that mindset has done, and it hasn't really, like, I just feel like I belong here too. The other thing that I want to say is that what I'm feeling is like, because it's a male dominated space, I'm understanding and seeing that, like, a lot of the men, a lot of it lacks that empathy that women bring to the space. So that connection, it doesn't at least when it comes to like capital raising, it's like what I feel, it's very like cold. And as a woman, I'm like, we make very, our decisions are very like, we have feeling behind it. We're thinking about our kids, we're thinking about our families. And so this is where, like, I guess the social impact piece comes in, where I'm just like, we want to, build something. We want something for our kids. So that's what me as a mom, and like just as I have these conversations with other women in the space, it's like it's needed.
Hmm. I would think if you were at an event where it was all male and you're the only female like you described that you just attended, I would think, and I could be wrong, everybody would want to come up and meet you. Even if it's just for a moment, if I'm at an event, I would want to approach the one person who's, a bit of an outlier, a little bit different. And I will say, like we
That is your
said,
nature, though.
that is my nature. And I will say at Raise Fest, which was a capital raised, it's not even really just a real estate focused event anymore. It's kind of like all capital raisers, but it's interesting to me. Race Fest 2024 recently in Arizona, it was so many capital raisers and a lot less operators than the previous year. And
Mhm.
I also noticed a greater diversity in all ways amongst the participants and the attendees. So I think that I think it's a question that I was personally curious about, but I mean, I feel like you're just knocking down any barrier, whether it's, real or perceived. So, I think I know this answer, Bev, but are you more focused on raising capital for operators, or are you more focused in trying to operate, your own deals?
That's a good question. Of course, I want to hold assets, right? So I would like to partner with an operator and hold my own, but I'm not looking to operate. If I'm going to partner with someone, it's, that'll be my thing. I mean, I could do other stuff. I'm not saying that I would not do anything else, right? It would have to be the right deal where I'm like, okay, you know what? I want to take this on. This is something that I'm really feel strongly about.
You're a woman of passion. Obviously we've spent some time together. You toured a property that I have for sale in Jacksonville. We've met each other more than once. And, I think that you're following your passion. You're assembling, kind of like-minded people. You're trying to get investors into passive investments that would not have previously considered them. So, and, you're not willing to swim upstream a little bit, and do it your own way and focus on, like you said, it's got to be a fit for you. So, as we kind of move into the, some of the closing questions, I've been asking everybody about kind of like their 2024 outlook. And when I say that, kind of like within the space they're operating. Now, you already confessed your operations are, ever evolving, maybe a little bit geographically scattered. What is your 2024 outlook for your, kind of like your more of your impact investment, your social impact investment? You see getting more people involved this year than last year. Are you gaining momentum? How's 2024 look for you?
I haven't shared it because it's just not official yet, but really the goal is I've been working with a developer in Dallas to start raising for them. So my goal is to raise for a developer that's we have alignment and we're looking to really solve this problem. Like I'm really serious. It's something that I'm really, passionate about. And it's hard to say like, what specific area, right? Because it's everywhere, right? So that's, I do feel that that's something that I really need to get clear on. Um, but yeah, like, I mean, I did say that I wanted to raise $5 million, but I mean, like, is five low? Is five high? Like, I don't even know. Like, why am I even going to stop $5 million like for the year? But I'm like, why even put a number like that? Part of me feels like I do need to have something to shoot for, but do I want to like stop there, right? So that's why I didn't even want to like kind of share it here because it's like not because I don't want to hold myself accountable to it, but it's like, well, can I go further than that? And it's not really like it's not like okay, I'm having like I have this badge of honor that like oh I did like I raised this much. It's more like well, how many people can I uh impact by creating that yeah by building that kind of equity towards a deal.
All right, Bev, we're gonna go into our closing questions.
Ah,
All
no, you need to
right.
do some work.
Yeah. Why do you love Jacksonville?
Why do I love Jacksonville? I think it is in terms of real estate, the reason why I went there is because I have family there. And so I could see why they love it, like and why they're there. Um, I feel like it's like this un like it's a quiet spot of flora that hasn't been like it's like a gem, right? That hasn't been like really tapped into. I'm in Philly, so I get that. Like I get that like Philly's kind of like a little gritty. Like I don't know. Is it okay to call Jacksonville gritty? Like I think you might have to edit that
Portions
out.
of
But
Jacksonville
like
certainly
it's one
have
of
some
those places
grit.
where it's like it still has like a lot of yeah, so I feel like there's still like opportunity for growth is what I'm trying to say. It's like that's what Philly is. Philly is this, there's opportunity for growth here. Um yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I love it. It's huge it's huge. There's so much it's a very big city.
It certainly is the largest area wise in the nation. So, yeah, and we have our glossy areas and our gritty areas. So we have something for everyone.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a favorite Jacksonville restaurant?
I was like, so this was one I was like, okay, it's been a while because I haven't been there in a bit, but I want to give a shout out to Mariana's Grinds. Now I don't have the exact address,
That's
but
okay.
it's a Filipino and Hawaiian restaurant.
Mm.
And my brother and my cousin took me, and it was is legit. So a Filipino and Hawaiian restaurant called Marianas Grinds. And the other place I need to mention is SaySoSweets, because they do all the Filipino treats uh really good.
So I Googled it while you said that. Mariana's Grinds, never heard of it. 4.7 stars on Google with 550 reviews. So I kind of like this section of the podcast because I just get to find new places to check out. And I routinely hear about places I
And it's
haven't
not
been.
fancy, like it's
I don't need
just
to be
good food.
fancy. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. So it's on Beach Boulevard. All right. So cool. Beach Boulevard, Mariana's Grinds. I'm going to have to check that out. All right. Third, do you have a favorite place, a location in Jacksonville?
Oh, I will say Mickler's.
Yeah.
Mickler's.
Landing. Yeah. The beach.
Yeah, it's the I actually was there in the fall because I was doing I guess I was training for something. So I did my run along that beach, and I just enjoy taking my kids there for the
Hmm.
shark teeth.
There are a lot of shark, a lot of shells, a lot of shark teeth, decent surfing down there. It's a little less disturbed, decent parking, you got your showers. No, there's lots of cool things about that. And there's this
Mhm.
debate. Is it Mickler's? Is it Mickler's? You know what I mean? I'm just going to leave it at that. Debate
Oh,
away.
did I even
Yeah.
say it wrong? Oh my
No,
gosh.
trust me. I don't think there actually is. So it's funny. I know people that are like my grandparents' age, you know, and they're like, it's Mickler's. And they're like, and then you hear people that have been here their whole lives call it Mickler's. So you know what? Honestly, I don't really, I know exactly what you're talking about. So that's all that matters. So people can comment online about what they think the pronunciation is. All right. Lastly, Bev, where can people connect with you and learn more about you?
Ooh, so you can connect with me on Instagram, Bev Buella, or on LinkedIn, same thing, Beverly Buella, or you could join the Facebook community, Legacy Collective community, and there I share just some webinars, any information if you're looking to start investing, or if you have experience and you're looking for a platform to share your expertise, connect with me, and I would love to put you in touch with people in my community to share your knowledge. One of the reasons why I started that was because that was that was how I grew, right? It was like learning from people that were willing to share their knowledge with me. So again, kind of creating that community where I'm bridging those people that they're coming to me and I'm like, wait, I don't know everything. Here, you talk to this person.
Hmm. You're a great connector, Bev, and very generous with your time, very generous with your knowledge, and very
Thank
giving of
you.
your resources. So thank you.
Oh, thanks, Ian.
All right, Bev, this has been great. Thanks for joining us. And everybody, please rate, follow, and review this on whatever platform you're enjoying it. I think a lot of people have been watching this on YouTube, I've been seeing statistically. But hey, whatever you're listening to it on, enjoy. Makes a huge difference. Share it with a friend. If it's YouTube, subscribe. It helps us out, allows us to bring more and more quality guests like Bev today. As I mentioned at the top of the show, to never miss a beat, go to investwiththecoach.com, enter your basic info, and never miss another investment, networking, or educational opportunity. If you like scrolling, we are Yield Coach on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And that's a wrap on the Jacksonville Commercial Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Ian Brown, signing off and reminding everyone to lace up and leave it all on the field. Yield Coach out.